Hello, hello. Hey, Sweet Spot community. Welcome back to the DeAnda Factor, where we talk career pivots, ownership, wealth, and evolving, into the highest version of ourselves. Tonight is special. We're hosting a live book club style conversation on two powerful books by Arlan Hamilton. It's About Damn Time and Your First Million. If you don't know Arlan, she built a venture capital firm from the ground up. No tech background, no elite networks, no gatekeepers letting her in. Just vision, audacity, and execution. This is for every Black woman who is in a new chapter, pivoting, building, figuring out how to stack income rivers and stop waiting for someone to give her permission to be great. And I could not have this conversation without my friend and accountability partner, Najah Husser. She is about discipline, consistency, and building from within. And tonight we're connecting mindset and money. So welcome, Najah. And let's bring her in.
Oh, thank you.
DeAnda Factor. I'm so happy to have you here. So Najah, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself to the community, who you are, what you do. Yes. What made you say yes to this book club style episode?
Well, I will admit, I first want to say thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with DeAnda on the DeAnda Factor, of course, and the sweet spot as I know it, affectionately know it. I'll be honest, this is probably about the fourth time we done rescheduled to have this discussion. And that's all on me. That's all on me. Because when you're busy and you're doing a bunch of things, and to get me to just sit down and be in one spot was difficult. But I'm here and I'm excited and I can't wait to talk more about the book. A little bit about me. Well, first of all, you and I have been friends for well over, goodness gracious, what is it? 20 years?
Yeah. It's amazing, right? It's crazy.
But before the babies. Before
the babies, that's right.
Yes, before Keegan, and before my son Aziz. Yeah. So started there, but native New Yorker, made Atlanta, Georgia my home when I came down to go to Clark Atlanta University, the Clark Atlanta University, and studied business administration and marketing there. That kind of set the light within me to just pursue marketing and advertising and just see where that career would take me. And it's taken me pretty far from being on the client side, working with some bigger brands, and then jumping away from that to the agency life. And you and I connected on our adventures in ad agency land. So doing everything from B2B, B2C, and now I'm actually kind of did another pivot, was with a creative agency that got gobbled up by a commercial real estate firm. So still on the design side, but with a commercial real estate firm. And of course, pivoting now to AI. So learning more about AI and seeing how that can work in my 9-to-5 life as well as my personal endeavors that we'll probably talk about a little bit more. But Arlan's books have really lit the fire underneath me because I read them in reverse. So I did read Your First Million first, and then I went back and read It's About Damn Time. But it's still the gems were there.
Yeah. I think I probably should give a little bit of context in terms of kind of how I found Arlan.
Okay.
I found her, she was one of the speakers at um, the 2025 Exodus Summit,
Right.
which took place last October. And I was literally captivated by her. I started reading It's About Damn Time shortly thereafter and was like, okay, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. It was like I wanted to just like have her
Yes.
as
Yes.
a part of in my toolbox of accountability partners and coaching. And which is how I found her books. I found them as tools for coaching me in particular. Personally, I felt that, and I couldn't, just stay with that alone. I needed to share it with everybody I met. So you can talk to almost all my friends who I reached out to. Was like, you got to read this book. You got to read her book. You got to find her on, Instagram and YouTube. You got to listen to her, because she really, I feel like her voice is one of those that we've been talking about needing. We've been talking about wanting, and I think she's hit on a lot of the things, AI being one of them, that we can use as a tool, as assistance to get to that next chapter, that next level, that pivot, that business or that career promotion that we've been angling for and wanting, So I had to share it. I had to share it.
And you introduced me to Arlan Hamilton. I'll be honest, I had not heard of her. I kind of walked into this really blind. I just said, okay, this is what DeAnda said to read, so I'm reading it. And we were kind of in this millionaire flow, because before that it was, everyone should be a millionaire that we had read. And Roger's book was amazing too. And there were a lot of action steps that I wanted to take out of that. And I felt like Arlan, her book, Your First Million, was kind of like just the next phase of my whole we going for the million. Like, why play small? Why play small? We going for the million. Let's just make it plain and make it clear what we're aiming for. So I never knew about Arlan, but when I talked to other women who are entrepreneurs, women who are in spaces where they're working toward their million too, they knew of her and they'd heard of her, and were awesome as well in their own right, and also were listening to her podcast. So I'm like, okay, so this has just opened up a lot of doors for me. And I
think we're having some technical, we're going in and out, or at least you have been going in and out, but we're going to just keep talking. And if it does go off,
no problem. Yeah, I was hearing you perfectly fine. Okay. I was saying that her podcast is also something that I want to tap into, outside of her books, because she mentions her podcast as well. And I know she brings in other guest speakers who are on that same, wave as she is. I just enjoyed Arlan's humbleness, her humble beginnings, and not coming from the good old boys club, but then saying, you know what, I'm going to pivot from my whole, being a tour manager type space. And how do I get into this, founder space? How do I get into this, creatively making capital and funding sources? Like, I was like, child, I never even heard of that. Just going into an industry that we're not even really present in on that scale.
Yeah, I think like you, it was finding new vocabulary, finding I think what she and Rachel Rogers, I will say, what they laid out and what was clearly laid out in both of these books, It's About Time, and I'm sorry, not It's About Time.
We should all
I'm so sorry, y'all. It's About Damn Time. and Your First Million.
Yeah.
What I think she laid out clearly and how she did that in the voice in which she did that, it did make it seem like it was for me. It was for me.
Yes.
Even though, like you said, there were things like, I never heard of that. I didn't know that was for me. Venture capital, what are you talking about? That's like a whole nother world, right? But then when you look at the way she explains it, it's like, we should have always been there. Like, why haven't I been introduced to that? And maybe it wasn't my time before then, before reading her books. It wasn't my time to know that. Now it is. Now it is. I feel like I am in the space now that I can take large spoonfuls of this and put it in a way, digest it in a way that will fit the life that I'm building right now, the chapter in which I'm building. Like you, I think we're both entering in new chapters. We're in our 50s now. I won't get too far into the details of telling our age.
Math.
However, what people all, what our society in America has said was, once you get to that chapter, you're supposed to be, slowing down and not thinking about, next ventures and things, which is that's farthest from the truth. I want something different than what I did, 50 years ago. I want something different. And I don't want to end in a way where I'm saying, oh, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. Or at least tried it. If it's not for me, it won't be there for me. But if it is, I want to at least try it. And that's what I feel like Arlan intro books. That's what she called in. One of the points that I want to kind of get into, or the first point I want to get into, is why Arlan's story disrupts the traditional VC narratives. And I think we've been talking about that in a bit thus far. But my first kind of discussion question is, and it's about Damn Time. It describes, it's kind of, and I do feel like it's more or less a memoir, a how-to, and somewhat of a business guide, all wrapped up in one. But what did reading it feel like for you as a Black woman who has also had to navigate spaces that weren't necessarily built for you? We both went to HBCUs, but we're both been into, we talked about that into introduction, agency worlds, and I've been streaming Mad Men and looking at the sexism and the racism that took place, and still to this day in some ways takes place. But how has that kind of mindset done for you after reading It's About Damn Time?
That's a great question. I feel like Arlan's message about using, being the overlooked person in the room and being underestimated, that can be your superpower. And that's often what happens with Black women. We're not looked at. We're kind of in the background. If you're in the room, you're support. You're bringing in the coffee, the lunch, you're taking notes, that type of thing. And I remember actually my first job out of college, and this would happen pretty often, where I was in more of a junior kind of leadership role, but I was often supervising my peers, or even people that were much older than me, that had master's degrees, had way more experience. And I remember one time I was having a review with a young lady, and we were probably about the same age, but I was a supervisor, performing her review, giving her coaching and guidance, and she was a representative on the phone. And she just asked me, like, how did you get this job? Like, I have a college degree, I did this, I did that. And I just told her, this is the one I applied for. I didn't apply to be on the phone. That's not the job that was for me. This is the job that I applied
Yeah.
for. So sometimes it's,
Yeah.
where do you want to be? What did you
Right.
think was going to be good enough for you and actually challenge you to step out of your comfort zone? And that's kind of been a guiding post in my career a lot. Taking opportunities and jobs that it's like, I can do it.
Mhm.
I don't really know everything about it,
Mhm.
but I can do it.
Yeah.
And when I get there, I'll just figure it out.
Right. Right.
And
And being okay with the figure out part, I think some people get into fear mode of, oh, I need to know. I need to know. And believe it or not, most people don't know.
no,
They don't know. And if you own that, get in front of that. I mean, at this age, I'm okay with saying, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
that's true. And guess what? You can work with people who do know.
Right.
I may not know, but I know Angela over there, she knows. So I'm
Yes.
going to ask her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Teresa over there, she knows.
I don't know
So
how to do it. Let me call Najah. I know if I text her, if she doesn't know, she'll say, I don't know, but I know who does know.
Correct. And that's
So
where working your network comes
yeah.
into play. And that's another thing Arlan was good at. She was good at, tapping into her resources, talking to people, researching, who is who, how do I get in that room? Who do I need to talk to? And it doesn't have to be in a formal sense. Where does such and such like to eat lunch? I'm gonna just make sure that I'm there. Where is, this event going to be? I can't afford a ticket to the event, but guess what? I can volunteer so that
Right.
I can get inside.
There's another way of doing it. Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be this traditional way. I think, throughout the book, she shares several mindset hacks and strategies that helped her really preserve without going through those traditional, ways of doing things. And what makes them traditional is more people have done them than one, right? That's the only reason why they're traditional. And she tapped into some of the traditions and then made it her own, and set it up where, her experience, she didn't go to college,
Correct.
But she did not use that as a reason to not do it. And I always say people always come up with reasons not to do something. And she showed time and time again how she looked at, I'm homeless.
Right.
Okay, what else should I do? And she used all these different strategies and hacks to keep going. Yes, she fell. Yes, she fell down. But she knew that if I get back up and try something different, or try this again, just coming from the right instead of the left,
and you'll be successful.
You'll be successful. And understanding that those fails, or when you fall, it's also a lesson in that too. And I think he talks a lot about how you get honest with yourself, stop apologizing for this or that, which is kind of ingrained in us as just being female,
For sure.
Yeah, but just not using that as an excuse to not do it. She used that as fuel to keep going. She used it as fuel to keep going.
And she just had a fire and a passion to follow her heart. And you gotta also just let's touch back on the obstacles that she had, not having a college degree, being a Black woman in a space that we really weren't seeing. I didn't know also that she was LGBTQ.
Right. I was just about to say that. Yeah.
I,
That's another.
I didn't even know that. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I just came into
But
this.
all of those things become these badges that you wear to keep you from doing, you
Correct.
know?
And these are ways that our
Yeah.
society, puts up walls, puts up barriers. Oh no, you can't do that, or no one like you has done
Mhm.
that, or no one like you is
Right.
actually, in these type of
Yeah.
spaces. And she just said, "Listen, I'm gonna have to just create the space. I'm gonna have to create a space because I know
Yeah.
there's others
Mhm.
like me that are not being represented, and I want to represent them, and I want to do a good job at it too." It wasn't like a
Right.
handout. She's like, "No, I'm gonna be
Right.
the best at what I'm doing. It's not a
Right.
handout, it's not affirmative
Right.
action type of
Right.
thing. I'm gonna do the best at it." And she's gotten great respect. When she said that, she's friends with Mark Cuban and he
Mhm.
mentions her name in rooms that she's not in. That's like
Mhm.
the ultimate honor when
Right.
someone is mentioning your name in rooms that you're not present in.
I mean, Jeff Bezos' quote is, "Your brand is really on fire when you're not in the room and they're talking about you." So,
That's it.
they're alone. That's it. That's it,
That is
period.
it.
That's it, period.
Yeah.
And I think she continued to, throw things at the wall to see what sticks,
Mhm.
having the obstacles that she had, which again, some people would have said, okay, we're done, threw their hands up, I'm
Yeah.
homeless. Why would I need to just get food. But she kept that, she was also taking care of her mom and brother, bringing, it's like all of these things, because like I always tell people, adulting doesn't stop when you come up with, okay, I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to go on this great trip. Adulting still takes place. You still have to eat. You still have to, shower. You still have to, you
And
know
to
what I mean?
take
Like
care
all
of
these things
yourself.
still,
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, and then when you have other people who are depending on you to take care of them, yeah, you got to get in there. You got to get in there.
Yeah.
One other, so the next talking point that I'd like to get into is what access really means.
Good.
Both books push back on the idea that access requires the right connections,
Right.
the right degree, or the right background. How has your understanding of access changed your reading Arlan's story, and what does access actually look like for Black women building in 2026?
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know. And,
That's a
and
mouthful.
I implore you to just kind of touch on what, to make it easier for yourself to kind of touch on
Yes.
one or both of those kind of points or whatever, because they're really strong points. They're really strong points.
Yeah. Well, considering that she released this book like right around the pandemic. So that came out in 2020. And now it's 6 years later. And I would say like that almost feels like, eons ago, because of what has changed just in, our society and politics, in business, all of that. Access for Black women is really still, I think, the foundation, and it still rests upon your network. And, it's not who you know, but the old adage of who knows you, to help open up those
Mhm.
doors. I think having people know
Mhm.
what you are worth and know what value you bring to an organization, what value you bring to a group, is really important. And to not, you know, dim yourself and kind of, be small about that. Let people know what
Mhm.
it is that you're doing, and that you would like their guidance or their feedback or their help, just like how we have this accountability partnership. I
Right.
also have a 6 a.m. fit crew where we are accountable to each other, We're in different walks of life. We're different
Mhm.
ages.
Mhm.
We are all above 40 though,
Mhm. Mhm.
and support each other on the things that we want to do, whether it's fitness related or not.
Mhm.
So that is access to. I think also, finding those friendships that will have some longevity and have value. And it's
Mhm.
not just to, look for people who are like, okay, who can take me to the next level? We're not
Right.
just riding their coattails, not that.
Mm.
But
Right.
who can you really learn from, and who also wants to learn from you? And I think there's some real synergy there, because
Mhm.
now you're collaborating, and then that can create, access as well.
Mhm.
And that could be, within your women groups, your networks there, and then also the men that you have,
Mhm.
whether that's through your church, whether that's through
Mhm.
college,
Mhm.
whether that's through romantic relationships.
Mhm.
Those are still people in your network that can, be beneficial later on. So
Mhm.
I never discount anybody. We're in this
Yeah.
like cancel culture. It's like,
Mm.
oh, you did me wrong, and la la la.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna cut
Yeah.
you out. Okay, the situation might have went south, whatever that was, but how is that person still valuable, and how
Mm.
can they get you access to spaces and rooms that you may not have had access to? And I feel like Arlen did a good way of like shifting her, stage manager, stage concert life,
Mhm.
and knowing that it wasn't sustainable.
Right.
Like,
Right.
this is not going to keep me into, my age and later years. What is it that I'm really passionate about, and what do I want to do, and then
Mhm.
how do I get there?
Mhm.
I think that is also
Yeah.
knowing yourself. What is it that you want to accomplish,
Yeah.
and creating a blueprint, and then figuring out ways to get closer to that.
Right. I totally agree with that. I think Arlen understood that being undervalued simply means a big upside exists, and that reframe changes everything.
Yes.
Um, Access in 2026 doesn't look like waiting for someone to open the door,
No.
and like you said, it's like, who maybe has access to this that I know, that's in my network, that is somebody that, I've been friends with since, eighth grade or whatever.
Hmm.
And even the different tools that we have now, it looking at YouTube channels like this one,
Yep.
looking at consulting profiles,
Yeah.
and digital products, things that you can then bring um, into vision. And she talks all about that in, your first million. Arlen shows you how um, anyone, regardless of education or, the money, the amount that they have in their bank account, um, can tap into something like that. And how you can use the different platforms that you have and that you have access to and knowledge about, to do that. The question that I remember her asking is, are you using all of these things, all of these tools that's in your toolbox? Now, I'm a big collector. I am a big collector, and I put that under my planning hat.
Are we
I've
talking
thought
about
about this for
journals?
me.
Are we talking about collecting journals? No, I'm joking. Notebooks and journals? No.
That's one of the things, it's like I'm a big collector of things.
Yes.
And I do that, that's just my nature. That's something that, it's not necessarily a Virgoism, but there
Yeah.
you go. But I think what she spelled out was, you can collect. I'm not telling you, she was like, I'm not telling you to basically change who you are,
Right.
but tack on some execution there, tack on some strategies there that will then help you evolve into developing those rivers
Yep.
those rivers of income, those rivers of looking at the glass half full, but differently.
Yeah.
But differently. And it's always been there, because she's not telling us anything that we didn't already know.
No.
She told us a few things that were new, but for the most part, especially being at this age, it's not much that, I've heard of that, but I didn't know that was for me. And I think that's the thing that she tapped into. It's like, because she even said, it's like, I didn't know that, venture capital, that could be something that I could tap into. Like, I was, managing concerts or whatever. It's like,
Correct.
why would I be, thinking, down that financial, thinking financial wise, and thinking, knowing I'm, haven't been to college, there's a lot that I don't know. But what she did was she tapped into her toolbox. She opened it up and looked in and said, okay, but I do know this. And I had to do this while I was managing artists. So I can transfer that over here and it works just the same, even better. And that's the thing. We don't stop to do that. We think, this kind of singular, because that's how the society is worked. It's like, oh, you went to school for this.
So that's
and you've been, you've been working in this industry and this way, then that's the way you have to do it. And it's not. I think she kind of upset the apple cart in a way that said, you don't have to do it, go down this straight line. It could be wavy. It really can. And you can get there.
I agree. I think for her to have, not been formally educated, we're going to call it that, formally educated, because you get education just from day to day, just on the street, just from your own life experience. That is education.
Yeah.
And I felt like her knack for branding was like top tier. I mean, backstage capital and tying everything together to her experiences and what she loved and what she was passionate about. Backstage, the name Backstage was, the passion with her working in, the concert management and production side of the business. And even her breaking in to that side of the business, working with, this white rock band that was a foreign band at that. And they have this like young Black girl, doing them gigs and all that kind of stuff. Like that right there was just like very off the cuff, like, okay, what in the heck? But she did it. And to see, years later that, they dedicated, a reunion album or something, to her, that like she was our first manager and she had us, become a name in the States, which was, a really, really big feat. I know when she was in the trenches, you don't think of it like that. You're thinking like, gosh, this is hard work. We're sharing like a hotel suite, all of us, me and the guys. But you got to start somewhere. And that's my whole lesson that I took out of it. It wasn't really the lack. It was like, I got to start somewhere. And then I'm going to learn from this, and then I'm going to build from that, and I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to build from that. And that was kind of, how she created all the other backstage, companies and spinoffs to, expand on her brand. I just think she's brilliant at branding, and also understanding like, these are other venues and ways that I can also make money. So like Arlan was, a genius at that. So I really, respect her. And that was, another big takeaway. Own your own narrative. Own it. This is what I'm going to do. This is, how I'm going to make it. It may, not turn out the way I expected, but I'm going to learn from it. And then I'll keep, going. And I've taken many, many leaps in my own journey. When I left from the client side of work, I had a 6-month-old baby at home. I had a 6-month-old baby. And I had a job that was, decent for
Mhm.
7 years, left and went to the unknown agency side. But it was one of my colleagues slash mentors. She's still a mentor to this day.
Yeah.
And she said, "Come on with me. I have a role
Mhm.
for you. You'll be perfect. And you're going to learn some new skills." And I was like, "Great." And it was closer to home.
Mhm.
I was still legitimately still nursing. Um,
Mm.
and I had to travel. I
Yeah.
was doing all kinds of stuff. But guess what? I did it with just joy. And
Mhm.
even with the fear of the unknown, I
Right.
knew it was the right direction of
Yeah.
where I needed to be to take me
Yeah.
to the next level. And I even just had more on the line because
Yeah.
I had my son,
Right.
um,
Right.
not knowing that, jumped over there to that job and they had never even signed the agreement. They never signed the contract with the client. So within 6 months, there was no job. But guess
Right.
what? There is always a rainbow at the other side.
Mm. I
And
feel like that's like throughout both the books, she talks about tapping into your fears, tapping into I
yes,
don't know what's gonna happen here,
nope,
but I'm gonna jump off this, this bridge
jump,
anyway, because if I don't know, I'll never know.
nope,
If I don't throw this at the wall and see if it sticks, I'll never know. And I think what you just, mentioned in terms of taking a leap of faith, fear or not, you know, last year, and I talk about this all the time on the channel, traveling to 5 different countries, I was doing it scared.
yep.
I had never done anything like that. Had never
And solo.
solo. That
Mention
was the
that
other
part.
thing. That
Solo
was the other
travel.
thing because um, we kind of think, oh, I have to try to conquer this all by I did it solo, but I did it in community. And
Yes,
that's the
and
other
that's the
thing
difference.
that
Yeah,
that's the difference. That's the difference. And that's what having this accountability partnership means. And that never ends.
yeah,
Knowing that you don't have to do it alone,
yep,
knowing that you are in community, and a lot of people get in fear of, well, I don't, if she doesn't do what I do, she don't have to. And it didn't have to be 10 people. It could just be
no,
one.
yep,
Community can be just one other person.
yes,
And it's not necessarily the commonality that you have, it's what the other person brings.
and I think it's mindset too. It's the mindset.
100%.
It is all about the mindset.
110%. Yes.
Like if
And
you
she speaks about that.
are you wanting to be innovative, ambitious, do things that do scare you, but you just know if I don't do this,
Mhm.
no risk, no reward. I'll
Mhm.
still just be stuck, in the same place I was
Mhm.
versus let's see, let's find out. Let's find out what's on the other side,
Yeah.
because 9 times out of 10 it'll be better than this.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 it will.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like with the agency example that you cited, I
Yes,
think if you had not done that, you would probably not be where you are now.
girl. No, no. And there were opportunities that I even turned down that, you can always
Mhm.
have hindsight is always
Mhm.
2020,
Yeah.
but I
Mhm.
think everything happens for a reason. And
Yeah.
um also along, the path of what Arlen shared in her books is doing your homework,
Yeah.
research.
Yes.
Study up on your craft, do your homework, see what's happening in the industry, see
Yeah.
where the trends are,
Yeah.
see where things are going. I left direct mail and print and said, I need to learn
You're
this.
aging yourself by saying that,
I know. Correct. I said, listen,
Yeah.
I need to get some emails, some
Mhm.
socials, some,
Mhm.
paid ads,
Mhm. Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. I need to learn that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, the next level. now it's okay. Now we got to get AI under your belt,
Mm-hmm.
because now everything has some kind of AI component,
Mm-hmm.
some AI summary, everything has some intelligence connected to it. So
Mm-hmm.
that is like the next,
Mm-hmm.
wave. So
Yeah.
we're constantly evolving and changing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And being in step with that change too, I think Arlen kind of taps into because she spoke about AI
Hmm.
in at the Exodus Summit and how the benefits of it. And there are,
Yeah.
if it's properly used, if it's used correctly, it is a helpmate. Um, and but people are also they get under the fear of it,
Yeah.
and they get under the fear of things, of change, of new things, of the new things that come up. There are also, when new things come up, there becomes this generational gap, that's there. And I think she touched on that as well. It's like, okay, if you are phase one of things, of
Yeah.
knowledge of, knowing how to use your email, then this is the level of AI that you should, tap into first, right? And
Yes.
I think we both talked about this. It's like, start where you are. Start
Yep.
where you are. And I think she touched on that a bit in both books. Particularly the first book, it's about damn time,
Yeah.
just touched on, hey, I started from zero, or
Mhm.
so to speak. I started from zero because, like you said, she had experience. She had the experience, work experience, and knowledge of how do I build something from nothing.
Yeah.
She had a idea that didn't really, grow legs, but that gave her lesson in how do I go to the next thing and build the next thing, you
Yeah.
know. And a lot of times we don't do that. We look at failure as, oh, I failed at that. Let's, put the top on and put it up in the closet, or, let's just give that away and move on to the next thing, where she said, no, 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 I didn't do that. I kept that out. I kept that, front and center. And it became a lesson. It
Yeah.
became a lesson.
Yeah. I want to speak on, overcoming your fears. A big part of It's About Damn Time, she talked about her fear of public speaking.
Yes. Yeah. And I had that too. I
Oh
had that
my
too.
gosh.
Yeah.
And I like chuckled because I come from a family of speakers in their own regard.
Yeah.
My dad, may he rest in peace, but he was a poet.
Yeah.
He was a speaker in his own way, but he was an
Yeah.
activist, he was
Mhm.
an athlete, he was a writer, but
Yeah.
very outspoken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in
Mhm.
my professional life, my leaders always ask, they're like, well, Najah, you just have a natural knack to speak. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, actually, my middle name means conversationalist.
Really?
So I
Wow.
think it's just naturally who I was supposed to be. But that was her, quote unquote weakness.
Okay.
And she really had to push herself. Arlen
Mhm.
always said in her books, like, people will want me to come speak, and I would
Mhm.
just be like deathly afraid,
Yeah.
not want to do that. And now it's like one of her main streams of income,
Yeah.
to
I
go
think that's the most lucrative right now.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've done Toastmasters, I've been a
Yeah.
corporate trainer. I've had to speak in front of groups, and not to say that it comes easy, but it's definitely not a fear. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
shaken or
Mhm.
totally, put away where I just want to run.
Mhm.
For me, it's like, oh my gosh, I get to get on the stage and
Right.
everyone
Right.
gets to look at me and hear what I have to
Yeah.
say. That's
Right.
awesome. But I
Yeah.
can see where it's fearful. But she just really challenges you in the book as well to, look at what are some of your weaknesses? What are some of the
Mhm.
things that you want to tap in to get
Mhm.
stronger at? And that's a big thing of what I'm doing in 2026, getting tighter on being more efficient with my own business, as a solopreneur, as a founder, to not be doing things, for friends for free. Now it's a cost. I actually, someone asked me for something recently and I said, yeah, well, it's going to cost da 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 da. And they replied like, are you serious? And I'm like, yes. No more freebies, right?
Right. But I think something that she touched on in terms of kind of overcoming the fears was to keep going at it.
Yes.
The example she kept because it kept showing up.
Yep.
And I think it's like this muscle that needs to be exercised. You don't exercise it. So, because she always had it in her.
Yeah.
Because that, it's no way that she didn't have it in her because she does it so well, right?
Yeah.
And so I like to think that it was a muscle that just needed to be exercised. And both her and Rachel Rogers talk about how you have to stop saying yes to things that will not benefit you, but benefit, someone else or a whole other community, right?
Yes.
And how we tire ourselves out from doing that, and how we have to be very intentional. And I feel like that's what you're saying in terms of, just kind of when you told me that this was your new way of, evolving, I was just like, yes, finally, because I think I'd been, kind of leading up to that, by example of, no is a complete sentence. And you don't have to give explanation. A lot of, most people don't. They just say no. Or they just say, well, this is, like you said, you started with, okay, and the cost of that, for that service will be X, Y, and Z. Are you serious? Yes.
Yes,
now, if you can get it free, please do. Please do. You won't be getting it from me.
Over here, it's a cost.
It's a cost. It's a cost.
And
when she started doing that, when she started valuing herself, when she started charging for speaker engagements, even though she was still, exercising that muscle, it still wasn't completely, intact and there. She still was like, hey, I can ask for, the first time she asked for, the money that she knew she was worth.
Yep.
And they said yes, she was blown away.
Yep.
She was blown away. And I remember the first time I started doing that, I had a friend of mine, she said she was mad at me because I wasn't charging enough for my resumes. She's like, I'm mad at you. She said all the stuff,
money on the table.
Yes.
Really
and
is.
When I stepped back and looked at, like, she was like, well, all the stuff that you said that you give, in this kit or package or whatever you want to call it, and you're only charging this, that's pennies.
Yeah.
You're leaving money on the table. And when I started charging that, nobody said no. Nobody said no. Nobody said, well, that's too much. They just they paid it.
Yeah.
They paid it. And
if there's a need and they know you have the skill, they will. And I think we surprise ourselves. And even, Arlan said, like, there were times where she just said, I'm going to turn down, people that lowball me, that don't want to pay my rate, that don't want to pay for my travel and my other, expenses that are part of, speaking fees. And that's on par with what other speakers are getting. So why wouldn't we get it? So again, that's not discounting ourselves and making sure that we know our value and what we're bringing, to said audience. When she, I think that was also in It's About Time when she talked about arriving to a speaking engagement and they moved her And she just automatically assumed, was it South by Southwest? I think
Mhm.
it was. And she's like, they moved her to another
Mhm.
room, and she just knew like it would be a smaller venue, and
Yeah.
people
Oh,
probably
yeah. Yeah.
sign up or whatever. And then
Yeah.
they get to a whole auditorium, and she's like, what are we doing
Wait,
here?
what are you doing here? Who's
Like,
speaking in here? And
oh,
they're like,
this
this
is
is for
where we
you.
moved you,
Yeah.
right? There were
Yeah.
so many people that we had to
Yeah.
move you to a bigger
Right.
room. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like, think bigger,
Yeah.
bigger.
Right.
Surround
Right.
yourself with people who also think big and dream big. And
Yeah.
that was on my 2026 list as well. And she's big about, putting your list together of things that you need to accomplish. And you and I, we're
Mhm.
list girlies
Mhm.
too. We're all about a list. We're all about
Yes.
lists over here. Um, but yes, putting that list together of like, what is going to get me stronger and get closer to my goal.
Yeah.
And coming out of Rachel Rogers' book, you know, knowing your money, knowing where your money is, knowing where your money's going, knowing the number. What do I need to get to reach XYZ?
Yeah.
And for me, it was very foggy and gray and just kind of all over the place. And
Mhm.
I'm getting help with that. I'm getting
Yeah.
someone that can help me to be on point. And the number for me is like retirement.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to retire, not in the sense of, so I could just be sitting on the beach, with a Mai Tai, but I'm not dependent on said job, that I can have, my solopreneur or a small business or an AI agency where I have, AI employees, because that's the
Mhm.
future. We
Mhm.
have AI employees that work for us,
Mhm.
and can do that and be comfortable in the money that comes in there. So that for me was like eye opening, because in our
Mhm.
community, we just don't talk about the money in a real, just natural, ordinary way. It's
Mhm.
very hush hush. It's, nobody needs to know that, or, you
Mhm.
know, that's, kind of secret, or, don't share what your salary is. Da, 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 da. Imagine just meeting someone that just tells you that this is what I make,
Mhm.
and this is
Mhm.
what I need to be making so that I
Mhm.
can live off of XYZ, and that's just off my, dividends from investments. Like, how about that?
Right. Right. Right.
So,
Right.
in a
And actually, this topic kind of leads us into the next point that I wanted to talk about on building wealth without waiting for permission.
yes.
Arlen didn't wait for Silicon Valley. She spoke about that. To invite her in and, show her, hey, this is how we do it. And, she created her own. She created her own fund. She invested in people who looked like her, and she found she built a network, a community, if you will, to help her further that,
Yep.
that effort. So I think my question here is, what does building without permission, and I think we somewhat talked about that just a moment ago, look like in the life that you're building right now, in the chapter you're in right now, and how has let me see, do I want to ask? I think my questions
We
have
gotta
been
stop
pretty
there.
loaded. Yeah, let's stop there. So yeah, what does that look like for you? Let's just leave it there.
So to kind of rephrase the question,
Mhm.
so what does it look like as far as creating my own access to money and wealth and all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff? So it's
Mhm.
really, we're talking about your first million.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, it's knowing that I have the talent and the ability to
Mhm.
make the money I deserve.
Okay.
And I cannot just rely on, you know, the 9 to 5 to be the end all be all. In your first million, she's very big on having multiple streams. And we hear that a lot, like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, multiple
Mhm.
streams. And, you know, you need to have passive income, la, 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 la. No, she
Mhm.
legitimately
Mhm.
tells you this is what you can do today, tomorrow to bring in more income. And now
Mhm.
it will take a little bit of setup. It might take, you know, creating your notes, having an outline, you know, having something substantial to say. You know, podcasting is one way that people are making some additional, you know, income.
Mhm.
Public speaking, you know, having a course. I know for me, I've leveraged AI a lot to take what I was doing, you know, just as a virtual assistant, which I've
Mhm.
done before, what I've been doing as kind of a career coach, you know, doing resume rewrites,
Mhm.
enhancing people's LinkedIn profiles. I've done business plans, I've done competitive analysis. That's more for marketing.
Mhm.
And making sure I'm pricing myself, you know, accurately, and also not giving away too much where, you know, that's a thing that happens in advertising a lot. You do a great
Mhm.
pitch, you know,
Mhm.
you have a great, you know, RFP,
Mhm.
and you don't get selected, but then they run off with your idea.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you almost can't give too much away. You know, you kind of give like a hook and a good taste. And then it's like, but, you know, if we were to work together, a partner, then I would deliver on XYZ. But I'm not
Yeah.
going to give all that away now.
I think that is a superpower. You know, it's an art to
Yes.
doing that. And I think that is something that, particularly in our background of advertising and marketing,
Hmm.
knowing how to kind of do that jump rope, you know, dance,
Yep.
you know, where, you know, I'm giving you a taste and I'm giving you just enough to get the job, basically.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And then
When I get awarded
um
the contract.
right, when I get the contract. And it's an art form. That's when you do sometimes have to, especially being a solopreneur, you know, you have to check into that network. You know, I will be calling and saying, okay, this is what, you know, because I'm a thinker, I'm a think it to death. I know this about myself. This is not new news, right?
Right.
But I think what Arlan was saying is, I think it to death too, but this is how I get around that. I
Yep.
have employed, you know, AI to assist me in some of this. I have tapped into my network. You know, she's like, I pick up the phone and call, you know, such and such. And just having someone like an Arlan say that. I think Rachel even mentioned that it's like, I don't do it alone.
Yep.
I don't do it in silos. I make sure to tap into, you know, I don't have to do this all alone.
Nope.
And I think in building rivers, I like to say rivers versus streams are a
More
little bit more
powerful.
powerful.
Yes, they
And
are.
it's also Stephanie Perry also kind of got me hooked on using that word. But when you think of building rivers and building multiple rivers, I don't know, it just makes it seem brighter and with more gusto, if you will,
Yes.
right? And it gives you kind of license to say, hey, come on with me. You know, I mean, like I did for these books, or just, you know, talking about both Rachel and Arlan. It's like, sis, you got to read these books. You got to get on board. You got to, you know, tap into their podcast, their YouTube channels, their IG, you know, accounts or whatever,
And
and
I need them.
just fill yourself up. And like you said, it's knowledge. It's getting knowledge. And Arlan talks about that, and she talked about that at Exodus Summit, and she said every one of my days consists of me getting educated on stuff
Yeah.
Stuff that I already know, more educated on stuff that I already know, and educated on things that I don't know. And then the other part of the day is execution.
Yep. And that's like the 3-3-3. Yeah,
Yes.
that's how she breaks it out. And
Yeah.
I know in my notes, I wrote here having multiple micro wins.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be this like big windfall. Like,
Yeah.
I got the $10,000,
Yeah.
contract. Like
Yeah.
I told you, girl, I had, 6 people on a call and I made
Yeah.
$90.
Yeah.
That's $90 I didn't have before.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
a foundation and a start for the next thing.
Thing.
And the micro wins mean a lot.
Yeah.
And it also is demonstrating that you can do it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times
Yeah.
everyone's looking for like the perfect thing. It's not the right time, and
And big
I'm
wins.
not on site, and I don't have
Mhm.
this, and I didn't
Mhm.
get this done. Da, 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 da. You have enough, just do it. And I tell you, I do micro learning all the time. And I'm big on TikTok. TikTok gives a lot of information away for free. There's selling and opportunities to get coaches on there too. I've signed up for free workshops to learn more about AI. And then also you can get coaching and consultancies, training there too.
Mhm.
Then it's just reading and doing your own research. Like
Mhm.
put me up on just, girl, start listening to some audiobooks. Don't waste your time trying to sit down reading a book. Because
I don't
I
I
can't
don't
sit
do that
still.
now. I don't, because I don't have the
Right.
time for
It's
that.
like I
And
can't even sit still. So
yeah.
audiobooks is like saved my life
Yeah.
because I'm in the car a lot.
Yeah.
Or if you're just doing errands and chores around the
Yeah.
house, you
Yeah.
can just have
Have
that
your
bud
earbuds
in
in.
your
Yeah.
ear, put your
Yeah.
headphones on, whatever you prefer,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
listening to a whole book and you will get through it. You'll say
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I'm already 60% through
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Like
Yeah.
I'm good to go. I'm golden. So
Mhm.
I think we kind of create obstacles that are just not real versus
Reasons to say no.
yes,
Reasons to say
versus
no.
like
Yeah.
embrace the micro wins, embrace
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
already have and get to it.
Yeah.
What other kind of notes that I have here? I said, Arlan also says, the abundance mindset, move away from scarcity, um, that, there's not enough to go around. There's way more than we need to go around. An abundance
Mhm.
mindset that we can all win and everybody can get a piece of the pie. There's something for everyone out there. So
Mhm.
that was a mindset that I always agreed with, but then applying it to your own personal solopreneur journey,
Mhm.
is different,
Yeah.
versus just kind of in a general kind of spiritual way. How do I apply it to this thing right here?
Mhm.
It it's a challenge that we all have. And I'll tell you one last thing. You, me, a lot of my girlfriends, we have so many talents. We have so many ideas,
Yeah.
so many things.
Mhm.
And it almost is like just to net it down and say,
Right.
okay, like focus.
Yeah.
Let me focus on like what's point A, point B, point C, so that
Yeah.
I can actually have some outcomes.
Yeah.
Because we do. We'll just,
Yeah.
like you said, overthink it. You have so many things. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Da da da.
Yeah.
Like, let's prioritize.
Mhm.
Let's focus.
Yeah.
Get A done. It's not to say that B and C are not going to get done,
Right.
but let's get A out
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah. Right. And I think we've had several conversations on this
Yes,
topic.
yes.
Because we
And
do. I mean, I told you, I'm a collector. I like to
yep,
collect ideas. I like to collect plans. I like to make plans. I love to make plans. Give
yes.
me a checklist, girl, please.
I'm a
We'll run
spreadsheet
with it.
queen. I'm always in charge of the spreadsheet with all of my girl groups. So
Yes.
if we're
Yes.
traveling, if we're doing something, I'm gonna put the spreadsheet together. We need an
Yeah.
agenda. We
Yeah.
need a schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to look at the finances, how much it's
Just
gonna
to
cost
have
per
coffee
person.
with somebody. I made this whole little. Well, we can do if we do lunch, if we do coffee,
Right,
if we do
right.
dinner, just all the things. And I was in my happy place. I was in my happy place. But like you
It's
said,
the data.
we got
We love it.
to put it in perspective of priority, so you can get
Prioritize
the
it.
things done. So you
Yeah.
can get things done. And I think Arlan touched on that in both her books in terms of and she shared, I had all these ideas, but
Yes.
all of them could not be put to the test of me giving my energy and time to, if I wanted to get something off the ground.
Right. And
I
some of
had
them
to
were not worth her time. You
no.
know, it was like, that's not really worth my time. Like, that's
Yeah.
something I need to give to someone else.
Yeah.
And that's when you have partnerships
Yeah.
and, cohorts and other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things work out, sometimes they don't. And, she touches on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to try or else you won't know.
Yeah.
You got to try or else you won't know.
And one other point that I will say to that thing is, Arlan, she talks about this in both books, that she didn't build Backstage Capital alone.
Correct.
She
Yep.
was fueled by her community,
Yep.
by people who believed in the vision before even, seeing any results from it. And I think that's what the accountability part of what we do together.
Yes.
When so I met a young lady, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and so I asked her, what are 2 things that you would like to get done and that would be priority for you? 2 things.
Right.
Now, it's a lot. I'm not saying for you to, scratch out those other 10 things that's on the list. But what are the 2 things out of those 12 things? What are the top 2 things? Again, going back to your point of prioritizing,
Yeah.
What are those 2 things? And, she's like, I need a vacation was one, and I, with all the things that she had told me, I was like, you sure do. You do. You need to just kind of like, zone out for a minute. And, the other thing was, really getting into building her business, building her rivers, right?
Yes.
And I said, the reason why I'm asking you is I'm offering accountability partnership.
Yeah.
To help you get to these 2 priority things. And I don't, know right now, this second, what you will be able to offer me. I found out we kept talking. I found out next what she would offer me, but I'll get into that in another
right
session. Because there's always this give and take.
Yeah.
All you got to do is listen, particularly with women.
And
We always got something. Yes.
That's the synergy. That's the collaboration.
Synergy.
That's how we, offer each other something of value.
Yeah. Fuel.
Yeah. So transparency check-in. That was another takeaway from your first million. Reach out to a trusted peer or share a recent failure and a success. And it's normalizing the struggles that we have to go through. Are you hitting that, perpetual glass ceiling at work? Are you not really reaching, the goals on the money you want to make, or, where you want to live, or, what is it you're desiring romantically? That's a big part of the conversation. And it just makes us, well-rounded people, because none of us are going to get it right. And we all have, different points of view and different perspectives on what got us to where we are today. And I know for me, it's just pushing past kind of my own hangups, I'm trying to get more savvy and sophisticated with, my travel and getting the right credit cards and the right points and what you're supposed to do. I know I don't know anything about that, but I know people who do. So I would call on him and her because they do this. They know they're elite. They are platinum. Let me figure it out and know what it is I need to be doing, how I can get there, how I can change some of my current behaviors so that I can be, benefiting from points and rewards, how I can leverage, my business account and have, write-offs. I'm already, have an accountant. She said, you ready to set up, your business? Come back and see me. Like there's people there that are just waiting to actually help and make sure that you're successful. And sometimes we think we have to struggle on our own, but we're not.
I already said it. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. Get in community.
Someone else has already been there. They've already done this. Been there, done that. And
so that question somewhat kind of came up in the Exodus Summit, and I can't remember if it was Arlan who was asked the question of how do you make sure, people don't steal your ideas or, and why should I get in community? If I can do it on my own. Again, we're taught to do it alone, but you're gonna wear yourself out. You're gonna burn yourself out. And the answer was, if they do steal the idea, let them. Again, that's a Mel Robinson thing. Let them. She said, because here's the thing, 99.99% people don't have the gumption, the wherewithal to actually follow through on stealing an idea. And here's the thing about an idea is you're not the only one who has it. No. So it's not, if you see somebody out there who's doing the same thing, it's because it wasn't a one note, right? Like if you were the Lone Ranger in that, come on, then you would be a millionaire already, right? So,
and you can take something that exists and tweak it, and make it your own.
And what I took from that is you're finding a reason not to.
Yeah,
you're finding a reason not to. Oh, I can't do this because somebody's going to steal my idea while I'm trying to get there. Have you started?
Right.
You're so busy trying to held on to it that you haven't even started. You haven't even started. So, in so many different ways, which leads me to this week's Sweet Spot Community Challenge. And hold on a second. Is it not showing up? This week's challenge is about the first million mindset challenge.
Yes.
And I will employ you to write down, what does your first million represent? Freedom, security, impact. It can be, those words or something else. What skills must you have to monetize better? And what revenue stream or rivers, I like to use the word rivers, can you build in the next 90 days? So I'm going to repeat those things. It's 3 things that you need to write down. What does your first million represent? What skills do you need to do better, to monetize better? And what revenue rivers can you build in the next 90 days? And that can be a digital product, telling somebody that you're actually doing something, getting you an accountability partner. You can take one action within the next 48 hours. This is the challenge. One action in the next 48 hours. Out of those things that you've written down, Is it get started on, getting better at monetizing? Is it building that next revenue stream? Is it honing in on what that first million represents and what it will take to get closer to that? Now, I'm going to say that I am also going to do this challenge because even though I've read the books and I've already got into practice of doing a lot of these things, I need a refresher course. I need to get back into it. So I'm going to encourage you all to share in the comments, come back to this and share in the comments. Najah, you can do it if you will too. And find you some accountability partners, get in community. Of course, we would love to have you in the Sweet Spot community. So if you'd like to join us, please come. Let us know how you're doing. Najah, I want to thank you.
I would also add, I'm sorry. Before you wrap up, I was going to say, I would also add, like, leverage AI to help with some of those answers. Like, again, that's an assistant. It's an assistant to help you kind of curate and cultivate all of the ideas and the visions that you have. We all have similar thoughts and some unique ones as well. That is what makes us stand apart. And I was saying, you and I, DeAnda, we've overlapped in our careers. We've overlapped in some of the things we just enjoy doing. And that's what makes us good friends. But we have different audiences, different goals, different ambitions. And that's what sets us apart as well. So I don't ever see it as a competition. I see it as we are collaborators and we're learning, from each other. So a way to kind of just say, like, okay, how do I take all of this good stuff that's just in my head, and sometimes I get stuck, have AI help me to kind of prioritize and keep me on target, keep me focused, and then do something every day that's pushing toward, getting to that first million, pushing yourself to get in front of people, pushing yourself to go live like this. I'm excited that I just went live because I had it on my list to do. I want to go live on TikTok as well. I'm going to go live.
You have to. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Like, this too is like breaking me out of my shell because I'm always overthinking it. Well, what do I have to say? And who wants to listen to me? And da 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 da. And I don't have my download together, and I don't have.
Girl, I mean, again, we'll have another conversation on that.
But the reality is, I do have those things. Yes.
When you start putting those things out there, or running those lists, through your head or whatever, it's stopping you from doing it. It's stopping you from doing it. And people need to hear that. People need you live. People need you live. And that's the thing that I think Stephanie Perry, Rashida Dow, Rachel Rogers, Arlan Hamilton, all of them are saying, just start.
Yes.
Just start.
Just start.
Just start.
Can I just say a couple of things about Arlan Hamilton for those who need to know about who she is? And I just did a quick thing on just Arlan and her successes. So her venture capital firm is called Backstage Capital, and she has a personal commitment to building wealth for others. Just imagine that. Your commitment is to help others build wealth.
Build wealth.
Okay? Just imagine that. So assets under management, her venture capital firm has raised nearly $30 million and has invested in over 200 startups led by underestimated founders. Okay. Her portfolio value, the combined market value of the firms within her portfolio, was reported to be over $1 billion, and that was in 2024. Her personal reinvestment in her recent book, she emphasizes her goal is to generate $1 billion in personal wealth. We talking with a B, 1 billion in personal wealth, not for luxury, but to reinvest back into the community. And that's a big thing. We didn't have a lot of time to talk on it, but reinvesting in your community is
Yeah.
huge.
Huge.
As of 2024, she had publicly committed to investing at least 1 million of her own money back into the firm's growth. Okay. And then her crowdfunding success, she made history by raising 5 million through equity crowdfunding for Backstage Capital, allowing over 6,500 retail investors to own a piece of the firm. So she's for everyone getting a piece of the pie, and she's a shining example of how you can do that. And she did transition from being homeless to a high-profile venture capitalist, and her ownership in Backstage Capital and various other, media and educational platforms. So she's a superstar.
She is.
Know that there.
100%, 100. And I really encourage and want you all to, if you haven't read the books, read the books, put that in your toolbox, your arsenal, and get into it. Like Najah mentioned, she has a podcast, she has a YouTube channel that is just a wealth of knowledge. Yes. If you're starting from here, start here. Yes. Start with her. Start with her. Start with her. All right, for real this time, we're going to start wrapping up. And Najah, I want to thank you, genuinely.
Thank you for having me.
This is what accountability looks like, y'all. 2 women doing the work, holding each other up, and letting each other just shine. To everyone watching live and on the replay, I hope something in this conversation hit. I hope you heard yourself in Arlan's story. And I hope you pick up at least one thing you're doing, you're going to do differently. Both of these books, It's About Damn Time and Your First Million, are linked in the description. If you don't do anything but just watch the video, which I hope you do, I really want you to read these books. I really do. And I'm going to tell you, like Najah mentioned, I only do audiobooks now because I really don't have, time to sit down and open a book. I'm doing better. I'm getting there, but get it done. Even if it's just one of them, start there, do the work, then come back and tell us how it has shifted. Because it shifted our lives, I think, in a big way right after we closed the last, heard the last sentence in the book.
And we did the challenge that Rachel Rogers put us on.
Yeah.
Get your 10,000.
Do it. 10,000. Do it, y'all.
However you can.
However you can. So I've also linked in the description how you can keep in touch with Najah. But Najah, can you tell them you're on TikTok? You mentioned that you're on Instagram and that's it. And LinkedIn so they can find you
on YouTube right here. My Instagram is Aziz Mom, and then my official name, Najah Husser, is on TikTok. So yes, definitely follow me, and there will be more and more things coming under my businesses. Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, we're both doing quite a bit in AI, so look out for that. I just recorded an episode on that, so look out for that. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you have not already. We're building something real over here, and I don't want you to miss a thing. So please take a moment to do that. I love this community so much. I love what we're building together here. And as always, stay in your sweet spot. stay grounded, and stay grateful. See you in the next video.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.